Hey, what's up guys? This is Michael with Tempe Creek, and today I'm going to give you a full in-depth beginner's guide into how you start your wine. Before you get started, there's a couple things you should have or are better to have, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you what you guys should invest in as quickly as possible. My favorite thing is going to be a refractometer. This bad boy will tell you how much sugar is in your wine, and so there's no longer any guessing where you're just pouring pounds and pounds of sugar and being like, I guess it'll be okay. This will allow you to know exactly how much sugar is needed for you to have really consistent wine. And once you know what you like, you'll know what the amount of sugar that should go into it. The next thing is a pH tester. You might be able to get away with it, especially if you know your wine's really acidic. This allows you to figure out what your pH is, and then that in turn allows you to figure out how much your SO2 levels are and what's needed in your wine. And this next thing, guys, I always have some tartric acid on hand, just in case my wine isn't acidic enough, or if I wanted it to go more acidic, I'll go ahead and add some in. So that it could, raise the acidity. You need a certain amount of acidity to know that your Camden tablets will be effective. And the next thing you need is some type of oak. I see a lot of home brewers that just skip this process. This is optional, obviously, but I really recommend using some type of oak. It doesn't have to be a barrel or the staves that people use. What you could use is just simple oak chips that will help bring some flavor and some complexity to your wine. And one more thing I would recommend having on hand is some type of simple syrup or something to sweeten, just in case you're starting off with wine isn't sweet enough, or if you just want more alcohol content, just have that on hand. This is a simple syrup that we make here on the farm, and so I just have it ready to go just in case. One more thing, guys. You might also need a hydrometer to check your gravity when you're done with your juice. One more thing you're gonna need, guys, is some either Camden tablets or metabisulfite to add into your wine. This is gonna help basically stabilize and kill off any of the pathogens or bacteria in there that we don't want. All right, guys. Step one is you got to measure your pH, all right? After that, you can do your other steps, but step one is going to be your pH level. And so what you need to do is you need to have a 250 milliliters, I don't know if you can see that, 250 distilled water. It has to be completely unionized at all. And so that's what is in here. I pre-poured that. And then you're going to put in your solution, your mixture in there to create your solution for your tester. And I'm going to go ahead and stir it. You stir until the solution, this will probably be better. Turn on our sensor, and then we're going to go ahead and calibrate. All right. It should get us a reading of 4. And when I did it, it's 3.98. That's pretty close to what I need it to be. All right, guys, the next step is we're going to go ahead and take some juice. Back in there. We're going to go ahead and take some juice and measure the pH from that juice. Our testers have been calibrated, so let's go ahead and measure There it is. So it seems to be our pH is 3.3, which is okay. So then our pH came out to 3.3, which is fine. You really want your pH around 3 to 2. Basically the number you want to be below 3.7. Alright guys, so here I have my sulfites. I already measured it out. Basically you want to start off, you want 1 gram roughly per gallon. You don't want. So I'm going to go ahead and add it. I wanted to mix it in there before we move on to our next step. So I go ahead, I have my turkey baster that I just use for stirring smaller batches. I'm going to go ahead. Now that we've added in our sulfites, the next step is we need to figure out if we have the right amount of BRIX, or basically sugar content. Remember, that's going to turn into our alcohol, and so we need it at a certain level. Minimum 18, guys. That's the minimum. You want your BRIX at really you can go as high as like mid-20s. But we're going to go ahead and measure ours and see what it looks like. We're going to go ahead and take our refractometer, and that's what you're going to use to measure your BRIX. We're going to take our refractometer and go ahead and calibrate it. It's not that difficult. You just need to pour some distilled water, or water that's that's at a pH 7, to kind of make sure that it is clear of any other previously used solution in there. Alright guys, I just ran some water through it. And so it should be clear. I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like. Alright guys, I went ahead and cleared off my refractometer, and now it's reading at 0. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what it looks like. So, part of it didn't look that good. I'm sorry, that's the best I could do. And so that's, we're reading at 0. Perfect. So we're going to go ahead and take some of our juice, run it through the lens, and then see what our BRIX is. So you're just going to squirt on there, close it, and then do a new reading. So my reading came out really low. It's at a 15. I don't want it that low, and so I'm going to go ahead and add some extra sugar in there, in the form of our simple syrup, to raise the BRIX up. Again, this is why you need some of your solution on hand. I already had it. I thought it was actually going to be fine, but it isn't. So we're going to go ahead and crack this bad boy open and pour it in there. I'm pouring in there. While we're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and start my yeast, because why not, right? So I'm going to let that settle, and then I'm going to go ahead and get my yeast started. Here I put up some pretty warm water in here. I'm going to go ahead and add some of my juice in there to kind of help the yeast get started, instead of putting like yeast nutrient in there. So I add a little bit, not very much. Boom. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my yeast. I'm adding my yeast. Alright, now let me go ahead and finish this BRIX problem. Alright, it's been a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and remeasure my BRIX. Go ahead and look at refresh. And so now I'll go ahead and add in my yeast. Now that the BRIX is finished, you can see the yeast is alive and awake now. I'm gonna go ahead and add it in, and then we're basically we're at primary, guys. Congrats. And again, you can see there's some yeast left in there. I'm going to actually put more juice in there and try to rinse out as much as possible. All right, guys, my yeast is in there. There's 2 more steps that we're gonna go ahead and do. One, we're gonna take the gravity, and then in the last step, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what to do with your extra juice. All right. So the gravity is not super important if you are a home brewer, because you're just gonna go to dry most likely, or whenever the yeast dies out, and it is what it is. But if you want to know your exact alcohol content, you're gonna need to know the gravity. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up my graduated cylinder, or my cylinder, with my juice. This might be a good time to tell you guys, I'm a big fan of tanks with spigots on it. It just makes racking and pulling juice out so much easier instead of trying to use a wine thief or whatever else. But obviously if you're using barrels, they do not come with spigots. Alright guys, so look at my gravity. It looks like I'm at 1.2. Go ahead and write that down somewhere. So I'm at 20 BRIX and 1.2 gravity. Alright guys, so I checked my gravity, and all that's left is my juice is not fermenting, which is awesome. But looking at my tank right now, I can tell I have way too much juice. When it starts bubbling and stuff, it's gonna go through my spigot, it's gonna bubble out of this. I don't have enough head space. It wasn't planned, but it's actually kind of good that it happened, all right? And the bad thing is I already added yeast into the batch, again, because I hadn't planned for this, but it's gonna be okay. So as you can see, and I'll let you guys see, I am to the brim. That is not gonna work. So what I am going to do, I'm gonna go ahead and take a gallon out to make room, headspace for the foaming that may happen. And the way I'm gonna do that is with a gallon water jug. All right, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna go ahead and put the juice in there, and then I'm gonna freeze it, and I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it for when this is done. I'm gonna go ahead and back sweeten with the exact same juice that we started off with. And so there's that continuity of juice in there, all right? Again, I'm taking this juice and I'm freezing it. I've added some headspace. It should be enough. And we'll reintroduce this back whenever we're done fermenting. All right, guys. We're almost done. Actually, for most of you guys, we are done. But this next part I'm really going to recommend that you do is I'm going to recommend you add in some oak chips or some type of oak into your wine. This is going to help build some complexity. It's going to help you when you back sweeten. It's not just going to taste like syrup or just like way too sweet. This is going to help mellow up that sweetness. And so I really highly recommend it. I don't see it enough with those home brewers. And so that's going to be my last step. Alright guys, I added my chips into this mesh bag here so that the chips just wouldn't float around everywhere. I'm going to punch it down, and I'm probably going to do that every day for the first 5 days when we're in primary. After that, I'm just going to let it settle in there. Alright? Alright guys, that's it. That's our journey. And congratulations on your first batch of wine being fermented. I will post more videos along with this and from start to finish so you guys can see that process. But that's basically it, guys. Congratulations. And if I helped you guys at all, please help me out by subscribing to my channel and checking out our content. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.